Hello and welcome to the show. On the program tonight, the Lloydminster Region Health Foundation celebrates a decade of galas. We'll take a look back at the last 10 years and dive into what they've done for our community. And remembering our veterans. We'll talk to a former Navyman who served during the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis. But first, the commanding officer of CFB WAINWRIGHT joins us here in studio. His thoughts on Remembrance Day and the current mission in Afghanistan are right now on Around the Region. The Health Foundation celebrated a birthday in a big way.
That's what $2 million looks like, ladies and gentlemen, and it all stays right here.
That's coming up later in the show. Welcome to the show. Here with me in studio now is Lt.Col Michael Blackburn, the commanding officer for CFB WAINWRIGHT. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Hey, it's a pleasure being here. With
Remembrance Day around the corner here and, you know, a bunch of troops overseas, what's the feeling on the base right now?
Oh, wow. That's a... you know, every year around this time that obviously we're making sure we do the right things to commemorate Remembrance Day. Doesn't mean that everything else stops on the base. So as you may be aware that we're just in the process of, I'll say, cleaning up after our last major exercise that went through there. Yep. And also in the process of hosting other visiting units that come to our base to do lower level training and prepare for other tasks and other operations. So we're still busy, but certainly this time of year it's a time to focus on Remembrance Day, that's for sure.
What are some ways that people in the community can help focus on Remembrance Day tomorrow?
Well, we make an effort on our part to make sure that we get the message out, if you will. Right. For example, as part of today's activities, we've got a number of people. I think we've got 25 personnel slated to visit local schools, visit the legions, and just help people in the community, children included, but also adults and different community groups to help remember what the day is all about.
Do you go to schools yourself?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I'm scheduled to visit a fifth grade class tomorrow to give a little presentation on Remembrance Day, but also to help connect with a wider audience. You know, one of our major tasks within the military is we want to do is connect with Canadians, and so we see this as a primary opportunity to do that.
How does it feel to be able to go out and sort of spread the message of Remembrance Day and just sort of, you know, get the word out there?
Oh, it's great. You know, especially in this time of activity, like we're so busy with Afghanistan, but you know, with other operations we've conducted, like we were involved in the Olympics just recently in Toronto. We were involved in the G8, G20 type of business, and other things like that. We are so busy, but everywhere that we go, that we're very proud of what we do. So it's really not a difficult task to get people out to really brag about, you know, wearing a uniform, and especially in this time that you know, people are so always seem to be so full of gratitude. You know, you can't hardly pass somebody on the street wearing a uniform nowadays, and people won't come up to you and say thanks or shake your hand. And it's really kind of a humbling experience because we all recognize that everything we do is part of a bigger team. So to be recognized individually is, like I said, a little bit humbling, but it's really not too difficult of a task, really.
Maybe just speaking about that bigger team, the last time Around the Region went to CFB WAINWRIGHT, we were there for the CMTC Maple Guardian exercise. That was just, I believe, back in September, is that right? October,
that's correct,
maybe?
Yeah.
And so, you know, every soldier, to give viewers a little bit of background, every soldier who goes to Afghanistan goes through the Maple Guardian exercise in WAINWRIGHT. And so essentially, CFB WAINWRIGHT is playing a very big sort of behind-the-scenes role in the mission in Afghanistan. Does that make you more connected, do you think, to the troops overseas?
Definitely. I mean, let's be fair, that we have on the base side, but also we recognize that our primary mission is to support operations. I mean, the whole reason that we even exist is to provide a training area or a training establishment whereby our forces can prepare themselves to do the business overseas, if you will. So from my perspective, that the base, what we call the Area Support Unit, we provide all the necessary infrastructure and support that we can generate to places like the Canadian Maneuver Training Center. To be fair too, that we've got to recognize that the Canadian Maneuver Training Center, for all our units that go overseas, it's really the last gateway that they go through before actually hitting the ground in Afghanistan. So you know, the mission is very important.
Really,
that's right. And we have many members, including myself, but that work for us that have been over there too and have been through that CMTC experience, if you will. So we all recognize the value of the training and really hoist on board and the importance of what we do. I mean, not to be overly dramatic, but we recognize that operational success begins in WAINWRIGHT, and we take that very seriously. Yes.
Harper's came out of the news this week, and he's considering keeping troops in Afghanistan until about 2014. Now, this is not in front of lines or not in combat, but in non-combat operations. What does that mean in sort of layman's terms?
I did hear on the news that that was going to be part of our ongoing tasks, if you will. You know, the government has said pretty clearly that the combat role in Afghanistan will be terminated as of I think the end of the summer next year. Certainly that's the way that we're oriented, and certainly you mentioned the training programs that go on in Wainwright. For every unit that comes through there, that one great thing about CMTC, for example, we're able to tailor the training to focus on the mission, whatever the mission may be, tailor-make the mission to, or the training to be able to effectively conduct the mission, whether it be the high-end combat type of stuff that we do, or to the other end of the spectrum, maybe a softer type training type of role.
Type.
It doesn't mean we'll get less busy, but it means that we will probably tweak the training a little bit that we do in order to be able to affect that. What type of roles will be conducted over there? Without being an expert in or knowing the particulars of the situation, and you probably know too that as part of our responsibilities over there, we do have a role to play in the operational mentoring liaison teams that we presently send there. So I suspect it'll be something like that, but probably in a different location. For example, I have heard, for example, that on the news channels, like obviously you have, that that we will be leaving Kandahar, for example, and probably be focusing more in the Kabul area, where I know that they have the Afghan National Army has some of their national training schools. So probably be contributing to that within the larger NATO construct, if you will.
Excellent. We're going to talk more about the mission in Afghanistan and CMTC just after this break. Welcome back to the show. If you're just joining us now, we're just in the middle of a conversation with Lt.Col Michael Blackburn, the commanding officer for CFB Wainwright. We're just talking about the mission in Afghanistan and the role that CMTC plays in that mission. So Harper has came out this week saying that, you know, considering keeping troops in Afghanistan until 2014, what's the feeling on the base about that?
Well, you know, I can't speak for everybody, but I can certainly speak for myself that you know, the adventure that we followed in Afghanistan has been great for us. I speak as a professional soldier, somebody who joined the military looking to serve my country. And certainly our experience in Afghanistan has given us an opportunity to do that. The fact that the extension of the mission, if we can call it that, will facilitate that for a longer period of time. You certainly won't get an argument from me. And I think if I could be so bold, I would suspect that it's the same type of attitude that's shared by many of my colleagues.
Just switching gears here, let's talk a little bit about the water treatment plant that's on the base. This is sort of an example of maybe the military base, who can sometimes be a little bit isolated from whatever town they're located in sometimes, of them working together with the town. Is this only one part of this sort of mission of your guys'? Like, is there something else that you guys are working on towards this?
Well, you know, I've been actually posted to Wainwright a number of times, and one thing that's always struck me, especially living in a small town where the base and the federal government is the single largest employer, it's become very apparent to me just how mutually beneficial the relationship can be between the military community writ large and the civilian community. Really, from my perspective, there is no distinction. You know, whether when we help ourselves, we help the community, and vice versa, I think. And certainly that's one of my big messages in dealing with local authorities, whether it be the mayor or the reeve of the municipal district or otherwise. You know, one big part of that bigger picture is the water treatment plant, and it's just a sign of the strong sense of cooperation that goes on there, that we're able to work so cooperatively towards a common goal, i.e., provide clean water for the community, not only for the town of Wainwright, but also for the MD itself. So, you know, it's symptomatic of a great relationship, a healthy relationship, and I think a relationship that we'd like to see grow and prosper.
What are some areas that maybe that relationship needs improvement on?
Oh boy, you know, I really haven't come across an area where I could say that we need areas for improvement. I can tell from my perspective, one thing I need to get better at is making sure that the town recognizes just how appreciative the military community is for everything that they provide. You know, even though the base has approximately, I'd say about 900 military personnel stationed there permanently, is that given the flux of training activities and other things that go on there, that sometimes we can, I won't say quite overwhelm the town, but there can be a lot of Army guys, Army personnel in town at any one point in time. It can be a little bit probably cause a little bit of frictions on the less desirable scale of things at times, but you know, balance that against the I think the money that is spent in the local community. I think in recognizing that there is no ill intent in any way, shape, or form. That we really do consider ourselves part of the community. And I think again, one of the big messages I'd like to try and leave with the town, if I could, is that, you know, just again how much we appreciate everything that is there, that they do for us, whether it be in the local businesses, the community groups, the schools, or other places.
Excellent. Well, let's just wrap this up here. How can people show their respect for Remembrance Day tomorrow?
Oh boy, you know, come on out. You know, come on out to the ceremonies that'll be conducted around the Communiplex, down around the Cenotaph. If you get a chance to, you know, especially with some of our older veterans, that you know, take the opportunity to say hello and maybe, you know, get them to tell a few war stories. I would, if I could, even come on down to the Legion and continue that experience. But also, I think most importantly, from my perspective, take just a few minutes to reflect upon what it means and really, I think, give thanks where it's due. And I mean primarily to the personnel in uniform today, but also perhaps more profoundly to the veterans that have served us in the past and set the conditions for the great quality of life we enjoy in this country.
Excellent. It's been a pleasure to have you on the show.
It's been great to be here. Thank you.
This has been our conversation with Lt.Col Michael Blackburn, the commanding officer for CFB Wainwright. Coming up, tales from the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis. What Remembrance Day and poppies mean to veterans. That's next on Around the Region.